Hey folks, Vince Brusio here from PREVIEWSworld. We're talking to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Walter Simonson. Yes!
Hey, a pleasure to be here.
Finally caught up with you. You're here at the PREVIEWSworld booth, and you are working on a lot right now. I mean, the second issue just came out for Ragnarok.
That's right.
For those out there who may not be familiar with the book, man, what can you tell me about the book?
Ragnarok, 16 years ago, Scott Doombeer, good friend of mine, worked for Wildstorm, called me up and said, how'd you like to do your own creator-owned book on the Norse myths? I'm an old Norse myth fan from well before the Marvel comic. I was a kid, I discovered them. I said, sure, let me finish some work I'm doing right now. I'll get back to you. 15 years later, I got back to him. That was really true. And I had some ideas, we worked it out. By that time, he was working at IDW. They were game to do a creator-owned book, and so we put it together. First issue came out in July, second issue came out 2 days ago. The basic idea is that, for those who don't know, in Norse mythology, Ragnarok is the twilight of the gods. The bad guys and the gods meet together in a giant battle plane. They got a big battle, everybody kills everybody, everybody dies. Nobody gets better, unlike comics. And in my story, it's that same story, except that in my version, Thor isn't around when the big battle occurs. As a result, the Midgard serpent, in the classic stories, he kills the serpent kills him. In my version, Thor's missing, the serpent has no one to kill it. As a result, after Ragnarok is over, the bad guys win, and the gods are dead.
It's a very uplifting story.
It's a very uplifting story. I tried to make it humorous. The 9 worlds collide together because everything's out of balance. This giant land is formed. The bad guys take over. The great enemies rule this Twilight Kingdom, the Dusklands. And several hundred years later, Thor reappears. No one knows where he's been. Even he isn't quite sure. He's got some stuff going on there. So the book is partly a mystery about where Thor has been. It's partly a revenge tale because Thor finds out very quickly. He doesn't know what happened. He finds out very quickly what had happened. He goes back to what's left of Asgard, buries the dead, picks up his hammer, and goes out into the Dusklands to find the great enemies and discuss with them the matter of all things. That's my story.
And then everybody dies.
Well, gradually. Gradually. I'd like to do a comic for more than 4 issues, so it'll take me a while to get all these guys in there.
Well, speaking about more than 4 issues, Manhunter. That's now something that's being put out. I think it was just last week that it came out.
IDW did an artist edition, right. Manhunter and other stories. It's a number of my early works at DC Comics. It's all the Manhunter work. Archie Goodwin wrote it, I drew it, I had the originals. 1 chapter is from photostats because 1 chapter didn't come back. This was all work being done before artwork was being returned. But when DC began returning artwork, they dug through all the files and the kitchen cabinets and everything, and they gave everything back they could find. So I had all but 1 chapter. I had full-size stats of that chapter, so the stats are reproduced in the books. The whole story is there complete. I did a little, 20-page epilogue to it after Archie died. That story's in there. It's a silent story, something he had plotted. We never had a chance to finish. Dr. Fate, which is a magic story I did, is in there. A Batman story, the Cape and Cowl Death Trap. A couple of Metal Men stories, and a pirate story of Captain Fear, one of my favorite stories from back at that time. So it's a lot of my early stuff, and a few pinups and covers. Also, my favorite, a rejected Metal Men cover from my first issue. A couple of characters aren't facing the camera. They have their heads back to the camera, but it's me inked by Bernie Wrightson. And I love the idea that you have a Simonson Wrightson cover that was rejected at the time. So it's in there full size.
That's history, man.
It was great.
That's history.
Love it.
All right, you got to get it just for that alone, right? There it is. Ragnarok. And you got this man also saying the Manhunter's out there. You want to check them out both. IDW's putting them out. Once again, Walter Simonson, thank you so much, sir.
Out now.
That's right, so go get it. Don't wait for it. Keep the faith. Keep reading comics.
Thank you.